In August of 2008, the Children's Trust of Miami-Dade County confronted and overcame a profound threat to its existence. Under a sunset provision included in an original 2002 ballot initiative, the trust would disappear unless voters reauthorized it. If that happened, if the trust vanished, hundreds of high-quality health, educational, and safety programs that serve hundreds of thousands of children would have evaporated. At least 100 million of annual services would be lost forever, more than 1 billion during the next 10 years alone. The challenge was enormous. Children's advocates were compelled to persuade voters to tax themselves during an intensifying economic collapse, and forever. Nevertheless, a group led by David Lawrence Jr., chairman of the Children's Trust and a former publisher of the Miami Herald, shouldered the task.
This is what I have lived my whole life for, with a sense that if you do good things and tell people as close to the truth as you can get and try to be fair, they're willing to do things.
The result can be described as nothing short of magical. Voters in Miami-Dade County approved the reauthorization of the trust with 85% of the vote. In a tough economic time and a tense political climate, the people voted to raise their property taxes thanks to a focused and independently funded grassroots reauthorization campaign.
It had all the levels, the grassroots component, the advertising component, the faith-based component, the strategizing that was daily.
I'm Bishop Victor T. Curry. I'm here to talk to you about the Children's Trust.
The campaign was designed to be nonpartisan and comprehensive, conducted in English, Spanish, and Creole.
The Children's Trust funds hundreds of programs at over 1,000 sites, serving thousands and thousands of children.
Para decirles que hemos cumplido las promesas.
Though different tactics were employed for each of the county's 3 main racial and ethnic groups, it was critically important to make clear that the trust served all the children in the community, and in addition, after 5 years of operation, with a vast variety of beneficial, high-quality programs. And the campaign had to be as pure and untouched by scandal as the trust itself had been.
Mounting a campaign has to be done in conjunction with the consumers of the services that you want to fund and the needs you want to meet. And then you have to do it openly and do it in a very transparent manner and have people who are running the campaign who engender a sense of trust and of integrity.
This is very, very hard to do. It's a tax. It's not really a happy time for taxes in America. The economy was moving into shambles. And we're asking people, how about doing this and might not even benefit your children specifically, but it will benefit the community overall.
That campaign was mapped by Sergio Benedetti, a nationally known political strategist who was instrumental in helping Lawrence pass the Trust's original ballot initiative in 2002.
Everything that we did strategically was based on research, was based on a substantial number of focus groups and polling to make sure that the focus groups were telling us the point of view of the majority. The research made it clear that as long as people were informed about what the Children's Trust did and what it was trying to accomplish, that they felt that the money was well spent.
But convincing the people that their tax money would be put to good use required a major financial investment in this full-bore, multifaceted electoral campaign, and Lawrence was single-handedly responsible for raising over $1.5 million to support it.
He's a machine for fundraising. If you say, call me in 2 weeks, to the minute, we're there.
If you do it right, if you have the right leadership, if you can raise the money that it takes, there's no reason why it can't be done.
So the majority of the money from the 1.1 million, which was our original budget, to the 1.6 that we spent, I believe we ended up spending close to 300,000 or 400,000 mobilizing the community, because the potential was there to really have an impact on the campaign.
Through the contribution of both public and private corporations, politicians, sports figures, and individual philanthropists of all political affiliations, the Children's Trust Reauthorization campaign was able to be everything its creators dreamed it would be. But virtually no campaign proceeds without a few bumps and unanticipated problems, and the Children's Trust campaign of 2008 had its share. The most potentially serious problem involved the ballot itself. On the day that early voting began, the campaign was shaken by a completely unexpected threat. The Children's Trust renewal question had been placed on the back of virtually every ballot in the county, and in some cases, it was the only item on that side of the ballot.
From the state that brought you butterfly ballots, hanging chads, and electronic voting machines that did not leave a paper trail comes a new voting hiccup: optical scan ballots that have backsides that some people don't realize exist. CBS 4 political reporter Michael Williams has a closer look at how this oversight could shortchange South Florida's children.
I remember being interviewed on television about that, and I said, you know, we of course were attempting to motivate everybody to tell everybody they knew to flip the ballot over. So any media attention that we could get, we welcomed, but I remember saying we could be the accidental loser.
When early voting began Monday, many voters in Miami-Dade apparently did not vote on keeping the Children's Trust because they did not notice that the issue was on the backside of the new optical scan paper ballot.
Most of them were coming out saying, you weren't on the ballot. We couldn't vote for you because you were not on the ballot.
The stakes were high.
That was a daunting task from the beginning, a huge responsibility on every board member, where we all believed that the continuance of this, as did the trust staff, the continuance of this for our community was on our shoulders.
The Children's Trust campaign of 2008 had its share of hurdles, but in the end, when the votes were counted, an overwhelming 85.44% of the voters supported the reauthorization. 77% of Hispanic voters voted to fund the Children's Trust in perpetuity, along with 85% of non-Hispanic white voters and a remarkable 97% of black voters. All of these people voted to tax themselves in perpetuity on behalf of the county's children.
Sometimes you can really do something beautiful. The Children's Trust campaign of 2008 was a beautiful thing.
Isn't that reaffirming? I think what was done here could be done in any American community. I get a note the other day from somebody in Baltimore and said, boy, this is really extraordinary, but we can never do this in Baltimore. Don't give me that. You can do it in Miami, you can do it anywhere.